It's been described as potentially devastating and a sellout of the Irish family farm model by farmer lobby groups. But after lengthy negotiations, the government finally agreed to a 25% cut in agricultural emissions by 2030. The government has also agreed cuts of 75% for electricity, 50% for transport, 40% for residential buildings as part of plans to have our emissions down appropriately by 2030. Now, I'm joined in studio by Minister for the Environment, Transport and Climate, Eamon Ryan. Minister, good morning and welcome.
Pat.
Nobody's happy with this. That means you should be.
No, this isn't about being happy, I suppose. We do have a job to do as a people, as a country. Our world is burning. It's at risk, it's threatened by climate change, and we have to act. And what this agreement does, as part of it, this builds on the climate law we passed last year, the commitment in the Oireachtas across all parties that we are in a climate emergency. So what this does is gives us the path to really accelerate the action, to increase our step and to actually deliver change. That change will have to be better for the country. We won't win it or do it if it's a kind of a blame game, shame game, a punishment game. It has to be something that creates a better economy, a better society, that restores nature at the same time that we protect climate. And I think we can and will do that.
Now, the farmers were prepared to suck up 22%. There were those in your own party who wanted 30%. This is a compromise. But I heard Carla Gusterberg saying, I think on radio this morning or yesterday perhaps, you know, the climate doesn't understand political compromises. No, it's more serious than that.
She's right. And this is a complex jigsaw and it's complex scientifically. There is further work we have to do, particularly in how we manage our land, because that is increasingly a source of emissions rather than a sink. And we know, and we said in our programme for government 2 years ago, and we said in the Climate Action Plan last year, that we still have work to do over the next 18 months in assessing, particularly in how we manage our land, how we manage boglands, peatlands, forestry. So further work has to be done there. There were other measures yesterday. Yes, agriculture wasn't at the upper end of their range, but there were measures, and agriculture will be involved in delivering them, in another 3 gigawatt of solar power. That's about 6,000 hectares, which will be transformative in my mind in terms of agriculture. It gives another additional income, but also helping us meet our use of imported fossil
But the farmers
fuels.
are saying, if you want us to put solar on our sheds and on our fields or whatever, that's fine, but you're not giving us any credit for the carbon that we are replacing in the economy, even though we, the farmers, are doing it.
Well, first, I think what they're more interested in is getting the income from it. That's the critical issue in terms of who gets paid. And I think there's real opportunity. We're already starting to happen. I went to the first of these farms down in County Wicklow. We opened it about 2 months ago, and it's a very solid, valuable income. You can still graze the land under the solar panels. So it is a win-win. And rolling that out, I think, is going to help.
Would you ask the Minister why there's a need to have the country nearly carbon neutral by 2030 when there is little or no chance of the rest of the world hitting that target by 2099, never mind 2030, when you look at what's happening in the United States, in China, etc. Why do we have to be so good so quickly?
Well, we all have to. Every country has to be. And
no, but we're insignificant, you know. So we make the effort, we become the best boy in the class, and then we look at China that still might be opening coal-fired power stations.
I mean, the Paris Climate Agreement includes almost all 200 countries in the world, and they've all committed to it. But even if that wasn't the case, in my mind, this switch, as I said at the start, is going to have to be better for the country. If you look at the key areas, if you look at in energy, where we switch to using our own power, that's better for our country. Then we're not held hostage by foreign governments. If you look in transport, where we switch to public transport and active travel, it's more efficient, it's better for our health, it creates better local communities. If you look in industry, where they're going to have to play their part, we just, again, government only 2 weeks ago, approved a new circular economy bill that directs industry to cutting out waste, to being really efficient in everything we do, to recycling to the max. That's good for us. That's not a punishment. That's not a hardship. That creates jobs. That creates economic gain.
But people want to see fairness. And, for example, we pointed out earlier in our conversation with the ICMSA that the national herd in Brazil will go up by over 6 million between now and 2030. Our total national herd is 6 million. We're asked to reduce ours while they increase theirs by the entire size of the Irish herd. They will be up around 200 million head of cattle. And that's going to come to Europe, that meat. It's going to travel halfway across the world with a carbon footprint. Where is the logic in that?
There isn't. There's no logic in what's happening in Brazil, and it threatens us all. But they too are signatories to the Paris Climate Agreement, and the only way we can hold them to account and actually stop that is through those mechanisms where we actually say, sorry, you're not abiding by international law.